Happy Friday, everybody. Good to be here with my good friend Adrian Sanchez from Momentum. It's been a while since we spoke. Turns out that you have been in Cancun for more than a year now, and obviously are enjoying it. I can't complain about my life in Abu Dhabi. It's definitely much more reserved and calm than Dubai. It's where the people raise families and build stuff and meet less often than people do in Dubai. So whenever I want to have some meetings and my share of fun, I will make 100 miles trip. But usually, we're just here. Last year has been pretty hectic in terms of building the products. The crypto winter itself has given us time to focus on a lot of software development. So I'm really excited about being again with you, reconvene, reassess what's been done, what the future looks like, stuff like that. Do you want to start with the proper introductions of ourselves to the community?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ian, for the invitation. We've been talking for some months, but it's important to reconnect once we are certain about the value of connections and the value of building together. So in this case, I've been in Mexico for the last year. I used to be traveling from Malaga to Dubai and Abu Dhabi. We met in Dubai, and then we saw each other in Abu Dhabi. So my goal this year is to focus on Mexico again because, as we've been talking about, this could be one of the crypto hubs because of the market that is being developed here. And from my point of view, it will be developed in the stablecoin side of things, like USDT, USDC, all of that, rather than crypto, Bitcoin, and all of that. But yeah, this market is pretty comfortable for digital nomads because we have special visas. We have 6 months visas, so that is perfect for digital nomads. But I think that Dubai and Abu Dhabi will be a perfect place to be this year, and also Europe in general. Malaga. We also met in Malaga in Spain. He was in Malaga Blockchain 2022. And I think that we will be meeting again in the upcoming future.
Indeed, my brother. Do you want to talk a little bit about what Momentum does and how you got to where you are now? And I'll do the same briefly on my end, and then we will delve into the milestone-based product itself and the future as we are planning it.
Yes, Momentum started as a YouTube channel. In this case, we are streaming from Momentum Blog Home because this is like the secondary channel. The main channel is Adrian Momentum. And my goal was always to show the audience how blockchain world was being developed, which are the fundamentals of this market, and also understand how they can profit from the market from a long perspective side of things, or from a broader perspective, not just like the intraday trading or this kind of trading, more in the long term goals and the long term play. From my point of view, right now, Momentum is consultancy and connecting people because right now I am in Mexico. I have a company in Mexico, I have a company in Spain, and both companies are working together to connect people so that they develop their products, they develop in a crypto friendly way, but also in a compliant way. They need to comply with laws in both countries. So I need to understand both markets in order to connect people. Also connecting with the UAE and all these countries so that they don't just move in the Spanish talking world, they will be moving also in the US market, Canadian market, the UAE. So right now I am rather connecting people than creating content. I also create content, but I am more focused on the B2B side of things, the business to business side of things. And what about you?
Lovely. I'm wearing too many hats, almost to the point that it's hard to introduce myself in one sentence. But I'm wearing a fund manager hat with Memple Ventures, and we are doing a lot of venture building. And of course, one of my key priorities is building milestone-based, a project that is very dear to my heart. We started it years and years ago with a very simple idea that, and from the observation that the early stage funding, as it is especially in the Web3 space, is lacking the transparency and accountability, especially after the funds are raised. So we thought, why not creating a treasury system that will be escrowed with the use of smart contracts, where the treasury is going to be pegged to the particular milestones that have to be executed for the further treasury to be unlocked. You can also plug in your team rewards there. You can log the team tokens, the advisory tokens to the execution of the milestones too. And overall, just the ability to have a look at what's going on in the company is just giving another perspective and engagement to the investors who are oftentimes willing to help the companies they've invested in, but they just don't have the proper interface to do that. And so that being started as a very simple idea back in 2017 has gone through like a lot of evolution because um, bear in mind the crypto winter of 2019-20 has given us enough time to actually validate the product with a more conventional market, because we never knew when and if at all Web3 would be popular again. So we thought, okay, let's actually go and research the problems that the traditional Web 2 and high tech VCs and angel investors have, and they have the similar issues. Moreover, the issues are so fundamental that the companies who have raised hundreds of millions of dollars are actually trying to solve it. And Carta is one of them. It's a great example because they are voicing the same mission of and the vision of the future that we do, but we are tackling the problems from different perspectives. So Carta was originally envisioned as a liquidity market for startups because the lack of liquidity in the startup world is creating its set of problem in terms of valuations of the startups. As long as your equity is not liquid and is not properly, established in terms of the market price, you cannot really use it as a collateral for your debt, which means that both companies in the early stage, as well as the founders, cannot live the normal life. Imagine you are working on a fantastic idea and you are working your everything off, but you cannot take the loan on the back of the equity that you're creating. So your life is actually very miserable. Not to mention the fact that, of course, the VCs would love more liquidity in the startup space too. So that's the industry that we believe is going to be like majorly transformed in this century, and we are focusing on it. So from just a pure thinking of like, hey, let's create an escrow system, we have evolved into the full-on collaboration platform between startups, investors, advisors, and just the community members who want to be beneficial and contributing to the companies, where they can do a lot of collaboration and value creation in the system, starting from the profile creation that is just much better profile than what AngelList could offer to you, because besides just general information, you'll be able to upload your YouTube, you'll be able to plug in your Calendly, and the investors can book the call with you. The investor, you will be able to generate the leads of your profile. So something that a lot of platforms are lacking. Then, as long as you're fine with your profile, you're moving on to the data room, where you're able to create a proper presentation, a business model canvas, a SWOT analysis, and whatnot. And we are currently working on the AI agents and assistants to actually help and expedite that process was like data gathering and guiding the entrepreneurs through creating the ideal data rooms. And from there, we have the introductions module that actually connects the startups with investors and allows investors to actually recommend the companies they like to their own network. So that all creates the ecosystem on its own, and then the transparency and the trust component of the escrow type of blockchain roadmap is something that we think the future will need, especially when startups will need to be more liquid in terms of their equity. This all has been keeping us busy over the years, and of course, the past 2 years with a little bit of the lull in the markets, to say the least, has given us time to really focus on the product. This year is going to be a lot of customer onboarding. We have the lineup of the pilots to run the first test nets, so to say, with the companies and their roadmaps. We have launched something called think tanks and milestone awards, where the companies can be featured, and we gather the team of panelists out of the advisors and experts of our acceleration programs, so that they could advise these startups in real time, all live and recorded online. And then this knowledge is to be repurposed for the future entrepreneurs to not step on the same mistakes, and to really use the best practices as well as get connected to those advisors.
Perfect. In this case, let's talk about the Spanish companies and Spanish entrepreneurs because we met in Malaga. The goal was to connect startups and connect investors or funds like yours with companies that are being developed that need capital, but they need capital with some thresholds and some milestones that had to be covered and has to be achieved. So if you are watching this video and you are a startup or you know a startup that is working in the crypto space or the digital space in general, we can work together and we can establish some milestones so that if, for example, they raise money for project and they feel 30%, 50% of the round of the capital that is needed, they will receive for the funding. And it's something like quadratic funding that could be useful for your company. But because from my point of view, it's not just raising money. It's not just like getting the money from the investors. It's going farther away. And as Ian said, it's super important to keep in mind that we need this kind of escrows. We need to have this kind of products that are suitable for the market and are also suitable for the investors. So it's a win-win-win situation. So in this case, let's talk about the retail side of things. How do you see, or how do you think that the retailer will fit in this market?
There are two major issues that we are solving for the retail market. First of all, the issue of the access to the companies at all stages, including the very early stages, and we are working on the concept of pre-tokens, which is basically the allowing the same access to the deals that the private investors will usually have. And we know that the majority of the value is created at the very early stage, with, of course, more risk being taken. So we are working on a particular section, which is going to be the launchpad for the pre-tokens. And these pre-tokens will have the very set token economics and the levers for the security. So every token will be attached to a particular roadmap of the company, and the proceeds from these pre-tokens will flow into the escrow automatically. The access to the companies doesn't limit there. We plan to simplify and democratize the governance with with the retailers to be able to actually post the proposals on the roadmaps, and being able to for their proposals to potentially be included in the roadmap of the companies, as long as they are holding the respective governance tokens of these projects. Now, the second problem is the engagement and the communication between the companies and their consumers, because it's getting more expensive to maintain that relationship over the platforms that are already super saturated, such as LinkedIn, Twitter, and others, because these
Yeah.
platforms are um, basically governed by the algorithms that decide what consumers need to watch, and these decisions are not necessarily for the sake of the value between or value of this relationship between the company and the consumer. So we are planning to revolutionize how the connection is happening, and we um, we plan to incentivize the companies to create the airdrop campaigns for the most loyal users, and these airdrop campaigns will be particularly prioritized towards the economically potent side of the community. And the question is, how do you define or decide which part of the community is economically potent, so that you want to focus on them? And that's how we come up with the tiered staking on milestone based, where those who are in the tier one and tier two of the whole staking pool are the most buying and the most economically active users. So the airdrops of the featured projects that we are currently incubating and plan to incubate in 2024 will be prioritized towards that community, as long as the members of the community are, first of all, staking milestone based token, and secondly, they pay attention to the updates from these projects. In this case, they are going to be getting the airdrops from the projects we are working with.
Perfect. So let's talk about these airdrops because we've seen in 2021, well, 2020, the airdrop of Uniswap, and then we saw some huge airdrops like Arbitrum, Optimism. What do you think about these airdrops? We also seen the Flare airdrop, the Flare token airdrop with XRP. What do you think about this, and how do you think that it will be developed in the upcoming future?
I think airdrops are currently, it's a great way to engage community, don't get me wrong, but I see a major flaw there where you don't necessarily target the right community and the right segment with these airdrops. And to a large extent, you may airdrop the tokens to a certain amount of people, but you need to be really careful about whom you're doing this to. And as you mentioned, Uniswap airdrop, I think it was a great example of the post factum rewarding of people who have used the platform. So the people have used it not due to the token; they wouldn't even know if the token existed, and so there was a natural use of the platform, and these people were rewarded. Their economic behaviors were only reinforced, versus the airdrops that incentivizes the people who would not use the platform otherwise to use the platform for sake of the airdrop itself.
Yeah.
That's the key flaw that I see right now. Of course, it's great. It's creating the community, and it's great for the number of the token holders and other indicators. But at the end of the day, it creates the sell pressure for the token. And ourselves, as someone who have launched our own token, what we care the most is for the token to not become inflationary, so that the token is only kept in the hands of people who have either bought it, purchased it, or they have earned to hold the token, and so see the real value in it.
Perfect, perfect. So, in order to finish the conversation, any final thoughts that you want to share with the audience, or any kind of feedback that you want
Yeah,
to share with the
yeah,
audience,
Adrian,
and I will.
I would like to quickly walk you through the platform. I know it's been a while,
Okay.
so let's just briefly do that. Uh, I'll share my separate window with Milestone Based. I'm using the platform every day. So here, as you can see, you see the companies on the platform. You can also switch to seeing the investors. On the top, you can see the companies that you are managing on your own. So as a manager in the company, you are able to edit your profile. As I mentioned, you can include the most useful information in it, but also it includes the roadmaps, something that gives the extra level of insight into what company is doing. And we are currently working with the companies, helping them set up not only the future roadmaps, but the roadmaps that have taken the place in the past. And that creates an extremely great background for the due diligence by the investors, because investors love to have a look at what's been done in the past and how it was documented, how much was spent for that. So this is the typical roadmap. You can create as many milestones as you need. Every milestone will have the budget attached to it, start date and end date, and then you can create memos to actually report on the progress of this milestone. Or in the future, we plan to automatically suggest the most valuable memos from the advisors and investors to startups to actually simplify their experience getting through every particular milestone. I had also mentioned that we have the introduction feature in the platform, which means that you can introduce any company on the platform to any other fund by clicking the introduction button. You can select the fund you want to introduce to. Say, I always love introducing companies to Mirai DAO because Amalia is a friend of mine. So I'll make that introduction. As an investor, you are able to see the introductions. Hold on a sec. Let me switch to any venture firm that I manage on the platform. I can see the companies within my portfolio. I can see the pipeline. It's a great way to manage the status of all the companies that I'm looking at. And I receive introductions in this special pipeline where I will click on the introduced company, and then I will add it into the portfolio or add it to pipeline to then track the company in the future. As mentioned, memos is where you can read the most interesting information in real life. And we also have templates where we aggregate the knowledge from the experts in the market so that the new companies can reuse the existing templates for their roadmaps, avoiding the pitfalls that other companies have already tested in the past. That's majorly the key feature set of the platform. And as mentioned, our next milestone is launching the testnet of the escrow roadmap, where you'd be able to deploy the roadmap as a smart contract, get the funds into the escrow, and then it would be released on milestones.
Perfect. So thank you so much, because we will be sharing this information with Spanish startups, Mexican startups, startups from all over the world, so that they understand the value. And my final thoughts is that if you know someone which is developing a crypto startup or a tech startup, let's connect. Let's explain this information. Let's tell them, okay, you can get financed, but you will also have all these features, all these tools that will be really useful for your project and also for your investors, because Ian has tons of experience in this field and he knows how to develop the project, and he also has a wonderful team, so you will not walk alone. You will not just talk with Ian, you will also talk with the whole team and the whole net of collaborators that I met some of them personally, and I can tell you that they are first tier one teams. So let's work together. That's my bit.
Thank you for the warm words, and thanks for your time. It's been a pleasure seeing you, Adrian, and I hope we see each other more often in the future.
Let's see each other. Bye bye.
Happy weekend, everybody. Bye.
Bye bye.